What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday, and a ton to talk about as this has been the most dramatic week following a bye in the Titans' history that I can remember, as more reports and news coming out. We've talked about a lot about the Kevin Byard trade that happened on Monday afternoon, and then how quickly it has changed for Derrick Henry and the trade potential around the Titans' second all-time leading rusher, King Derrick Henry. Ooh, this is it's gonna get iffy today, Jack. So we're gonna have a interesting conversation about Buck Rising's report yesterday afternoon about the team that has emerged to be the most likely trade partner for the Tennessee Titans and star running back Derrick Henry. We'll go through what that report is. I will tell you the background on said report, on how this has transpired over the last couple of days, really since Monday morning, actually dating back to Sunday afternoon, with our conversations off air behind the scenes with Buck. And then we'll talk about what the compensation needs to be for you to feel okay with it. And then the timing is important too. So, Jack, the Magic Bucket will end a stressful show for Titans fans, and you have the Tighten Up podcast. I'm sorry that we news dumped you in the podcast Wednesday. We got you caught up in that, but hey, we can only control what we can control. So, Jack, welcome in. Hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, absolutely. At least we got the Kevin Byard stuff on the podcast,
right.
So I can't be too upset. We don't have an official trade. We don't know if he's going to be traded officially, but we do have a big-time report coming y'all's way, and I'm sure some of you guys already know what we're talking about. But that being said, while y'all are filing in this morning, let's make sure to share the show. If we're watching on Facebook, share it to your Titans Facebook groups. Everyone's going to have opinions about what we're going to talk about today. So let's get that in Facebook groups by sharing it over to those groups. Let's do our homework early today. If you're watching on YouTube, tap that bell icon at the top of your screen. Turn those notifications on so you get an update every time A to Z Sports goes live or posts any content to the YouTube page. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, text that Twitch link to your Titans text groups. We're all waking up to this, to some of this new news today. Some of us saw it a little bit yesterday, but I know y'all all want to react. We want to hear from all of you. We want to take the temperature of the Titans fan base today. So if you're watching on Twitch, text that link around. Let's grow the show. Let's grow the audience. And Austin, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough conversation today, but it's one we absolutely need to have. Let's get into it.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports live in the morning, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up podcast on the A to Z Sports Podcast Network. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline, and also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go to make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and start at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app, keeping us safe online. Protect your information and get a 2-week free trial with our link only, aura.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in Middle Tennessee, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro, online at KrebsKubota.com. All right, real quick. First comment to read today. We don't want to trade Henry. Please shut up about it. From Zach Cotterman. Zach, I'm sorry to tell you, it ain't up to you. It ain't up to me. It ain't up to Jack. It ain't up to any of you guys watching. And it definitely ain't up to Buck Rising. So, Jack, let's go ahead and get out here the report that Buck Rising had yesterday afternoon at A2ZSports.com, something we've been working on for, a day plus. Excuse me. But Buck wrote this on A2ZSports.com yesterday. The Baltimore Ravens are the team most interested in acquiring Henry as of Wednesday, but any potential deal could fall through if the compensation is not right. And we will discuss said compensation throughout the show, but I'll go ahead and kind of give a little more info on this from Buck as well. Same article. If the Titans are serious about moving Henry, they will likely have to buy a better pick. Henry's in the final season of that $50 million contract. A team trading for the former Heisman Trophy winner will have to take on, $6.5 to $7 million in remaining money on his deal. It's a lot. for Derrick Henry for the last half of the season. So the Titans would potentially have to commit to paying a decent portion of Derrick Henry's contract this season for a trade to happen. Now, Jack, before I let you react to this, I'm going to go a little behind the scenes and give you guys a background of what this week has been like, because on Saturday or Sunday, Diana Rossini of The Athletic said this: the Titans need draft capital and have been getting calls from GMs over the last few days. Though I haven't found the team showing significant interest in Derrick Henry, sources around the league tell me, or Diana, and Tennessee has received calls about Kevin Byard, and one team reached out about Traylon Burks. I don't get a sense that Tennessee will move any young player. That was Diana Rossini from The Athletic over the weekend. And then on Monday morning, because I talked with Buck Sunday, Monday morning, Buck published this on A2ZSports.com. The Titans have yet to receive a call regarding an offer for Derrick Henry. Now, Jack, it changed dramatically once Kevin Byard was traded Monday afternoon, because Tuesday evening we were conversing with Buck about how things have changed with Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens have crept up as the lead candidate, a strong candidate for Derrick Henry, which is what Buck wrote yesterday. The Ravens are the team most interested in acquiring Derrick Henry as of Wednesday. Now I will let you kind of proceed.
Yeah, that sucks to hear, right? I mean, just right off the bat, like the Baltimore Ravens are one of maybe 2 or 3 teams around the league that I do not want to see Derrick Henry play for. I understand why you have these conversations, why, you know, rivals really aren't off the table when it comes to getting top value for some of your players. Like if the Ravens can give you the best value for Henry and you're dead set on trading Henry, I think you still have to do it. I don't want to trade Derrick Henry no matter what. I would rather him just play out his final year here, watch him just trip over Aaron Brewer's feet for the next 11 games if that's what it comes to. That's the Titans fan in me, right? I don't want to see him put on another uniform. Fact of the matter is he's probably going to anyways after this season. We've kind of all come to terms with this possibly being Derrick Henry's last season in Tennessee. So if that is the case, and if this is a lost season like it appears to be, don't you want to get value out of him no matter who it comes to? Like I'm still struggling with the Ravens. Like after the Steve McNair thing and the Derek Mason thing, I just don't want to see another generational talent go to Baltimore.
Samari
Roll. I mean, it hurts me to my core to even have to talk about a Derrick Henry trade to Baltimore. But I mean, that's what Buck Rising's reported. So, I mean, it's just a lot of thoughts. Like I understand it, but at the same time, like I would be sick to my stomach.
Yeah. So going to a couple conversation or chats, Scary Harry brings up the McNair in a Ravens jersey was effing bad enough. I think that's kind of what the emotions are right there. Joey says the Titans aren't winning a damn thing this year with or without Henry, so he's there to blow it up. But then Terrence says, been a fan since I was 8. They trade him. I'm done with this organization. Now, I think this emotion from Terrence is something that I think is dangerous for fans to be in, because star players, face the franchise type players change teams all the time, right? It is more rare that a player ends their career with one team than best players, right? The best quarterbacks. Who are the 2 best quarterbacks in your opinion to ever play the game of football, Jack?
Tom Brady, Joe Montana.
Okay. So both of them were not with the teams they won multiple Super Bowls with at the end of their career. Now Brady won with the Bucks. Montana went to the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So those 2 guys were moved on from for other younger, cheaper players, right? So that's kind of the situation I think is dangerous. And then Rashid says with the first super chat of the day, I thought Miss Amy had to approve trades since the AJ situation. Look, nothing's happened yet. But yeah, like Amy Adams Strunk, as controlling owner of the team, does have final veto power, but her job, and she's been steadfast about this since she took over for her brother-in-law, Tommy Smith, years ago. She wants her football people to make football decisions because that's why she has hired them to be football people to make football decisions.
So I understand why Titans fans are super turned off by this, right? I mean, you've got a new stadium popping up. You want to be able to fill that immediately. And I'm sure the Titans, well, I'm not totally sure, but I hope the Titans can turn it around by the time that stadium is built over there across the river. But yeah, trading faces of the franchise like Derrick Henry, even though he's past his prime and on his last year of his deal, trading AJ Brown, trading Kevin Byard, who knows who's next. That would give me some hesitation in showing up over there if the team's not really, ready to compete just yet.
That's so many years though. That's 2027 season.
I understand
though. Like
that.
that's a
I
whole
understand.
that's a whole rookie contract for these upcoming picks.
I get it, but like it's still going to be hard to put butts in seats when you're in Nissan, having moved all of these guys. Like it's really hard on the fan base. It is, but at the same time, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out when it comes to selling at the deadline, right? You're either all in or you're all out. There's no such thing as halfway crooks. There's no such thing as halfway sellers. So if you do want to recoup those draft picks that you kind of traded away over the past couple of years for Dennis Daly, Ugo Amadi, the Traylon Burks deal, the Malik Willis trade, the Will Levis trade, then you got to sell some of these assets that you have before they expire without getting anything in return. It's just, I wish that the Titans could get better value from a team that they don't have a deep-rooted rivalry against and significant hatred with, like the Baltimore Ravens. Is that too much to ask?
Yes. Because as Billy Madison once said, it takes two to tango. And, you can't pick who you want to trade with all the time. Sometimes if you want to move a player, you have to take who is available. So, Jack, let's ask this question. Let's get emotional with everybody. What was your reaction to Buck's report that the Titans have received strong interest in a Derrick Henry trade? What was your reaction to Buck's report that the Titans have received strong interest in a Derrick Henry trade? We want to get your opinions, your feelings in here, because this is a tightrope type situation with business and football and fandom and business and football and everything being intertwined. So we'll get to that. But first, I want to tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. Speaking of tightrope, we had a great conversation last week on a Doc Talk with Dr. Jeff Watson, foot and ankle specialist, about the tightrope surgery that Ryan Tannehill had a year ago and how that surgery a year ago could help him get back faster. And Ryan Tannehill confirmed that when we talked to the media yesterday at Titans practice. So the Bone and Joint Institute, they are your experts. They are who you should turn to recover from any type of injury. Injuries in life, major inconvenience. Don't let it linger. Go get it fixed. Go get the help and go get the people that know how to get you on the road to recovery. That's the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin. To book an appointment, start at boneandjointtn.org.
Go to betmgm.com if you want to get some skin in the game and sign up with our code ATOZ Sports. If you do use our code upon signing up with BetMGM, you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. BetMGM, use our code A2Z Sports. When you sign up, you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Bet on whatever you'd like. We've got all kinds of sports going on right now with the NBA getting back into full swing 2 days ago. So sign up with BetMGM using our promo code ATOZ Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions, subject qualifications, eligibility requirements. First online money wager. Only rewards you should not be bonus bets. Bonus bets inspire 7 days. And for following game of sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So, Jack, I'm going to send you the chat here momentarily, but did want to reset the situation here because Buck Rising from our A to Z Sports Buck Rising, also on 104.5 The Zone, reported yesterday afternoon on A to Z Sports.com, the Baltimore Ravens are the team most interested in acquiring Henry as of Wednesday, but any potential deal could fall through if the compensation is not right. And this has changed pretty quickly because talked to Buck Sunday, talked to Buck Monday. He published Monday that the Titans had received 0 calls about Derrick Henry. We did a whole show. Zach and I talked about how Derrick Henry didn't really have a market in the trade. I know you and Sam talked about it last week about Derrick Henry trades, but the Baltimore Ravens are, in fact, as Buck is reporting, are interested in Derrick Henry. Now, compensation has to be right. We'll get to compensation later on in this show with that conversation. But first, getting your answers. What was your reaction to Buck's report that the Titans have received strong interest in a Derrick Henry trade, specifically from the Baltimore Ravens? Jack, have fun with the chat, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
James starts off on Facebook, says not surprised. Scary on YouTube. Scary Harry says indifferent. Steven says shocked. Let's see, continuing to go down this list. Major Key says he shook his head. Mark D says good for him. I imagine that's because Derrick Henry will have a shot to play for a contender this year. Scott Weaver says saddened. Hard to disagree with Scott Weaver's comment right there. Continuing to go down this list as my chat buffers. Andre Bunting says expected. Let's see. Applause from David Brown. Interesting comment there. Fake news from Lou Man. He can't believe it. He's not gonna believe it.
Let's pause. Let's pause.
Okay.
Because I do think it's interesting because I saw as we retweeted the article this morning, somebody responded and just said, I disagree, which I thought was very entertaining because this is not something you can just say, I disagree, because this is news. This is what's being reported because the most likely trade partner for Titans running back Derrick Henry has emerged to be the Baltimore Ravens. That is a report, and I'm not attacking Lou Man. I'm more attacking Chewy Vehar on Twitter, who said, I disagree this morning. Tennessee had 0 calls about Henry before the Kevin Byard trade. That's also something you cannot disagree with. That is fact there too. So that I just wanted to address that because I feel like it's our responsibility to battle people that say fake news or disagree with something that we are reporting from sources.
So continuing to go through the chat, Joey on YouTube says, not surprising. Nick says disappointed, but when he saw the Ravens logo, he turned angry. I can relate to that, Nick Ewing. Nuclear says, interesting. Jared says, send him. Not surprised from John on Facebook. Trey says, fantastic. Just get us a 3rd round pick for him. Smart for them and good for them, says Gannon. Sadly expected from Brad Anderson. Chris says, if he goes, I hope it's to the NFC. I agree, although I don't know how many more players the Titans could send to Philadelphia if that's where he ends up playing.
And Philadelphia does not need a running back. However, Derrick Henry would probably make the brotherly shove even more effective.
You're probably right. Nate says, my reaction is trade Buck to the Colts. Don't think that the Titans could get much value out of that. Let's see. Demetrius says expected. We'll close with Ethan on disappointed. So, Austin, I'm going to ask you, what was your reaction when you saw Derrick Henry to the Ravens was being reported?
I'll get to that here in a second because I do have some people that are coming back and again, just kind of saying, are questioning the report, which is fine. I'm not against it. I just want to answer your question. So Justin says, what is the source of the report? Buck's sources. Buck has sources all over the place, whether it's in the Titans facility, outside the Titans facility, across the NFL. Buck was also the first person to report over 3 weeks before the NFL draft that the Titans were interested in moving up to get CJ Stroud with the Arizona Cardinals because at that time, Houston Texans were rumored to like a different quarterback or not picking a quarterback in general. So Buck is very good and very well sourced with what he's been able to grow within the Titans facility and across the NFL because he's been covering the league and going to league events like the Super Bowl, like the Combine, where relationships like that are built. Jorge says, I'm confused. What does the report mean? Did Baltimore call the Titans and discuss compensation? This report sounds a lot about nothing. No, the report's not a lot about nothing. It's the fact that Buck was hearing that Baltimore came out and has interest in Derrick Henry and the strongest interest in Derrick Henry of anybody else. And that as of Sunday night / Monday morning, the Titans had not received any calls around Derrick Henry. But once Kevin Byard was traded on Monday afternoon, people go, oh, well, maybe the Titans are actually serious about this selling thing. And maybe I can go get Derrick Henry because they just traded Kevin Byard. MB says, you guys have no idea if the Titans had no previous calls. You just reported what you heard. You don't know everything going on in the building. Look, fair for you guys to comment that, but I will say this, and I'm defending Buck and I'm defending us as a company. There are so many things that Buck and other people that cover the Titans for A to Z Sports have heard and have not published. Like the iceberg is the example. The iceberg, the tip of the iceberg over the water is what we have published as sourced content. Everything under the water that is ginormous and a lot bigger than the tip of the iceberg above the water are things that we have heard that have done nothing with or saved for later or not published or not talked about at all on the air. So like there are so many things that we have heard about this team and things that are going on that we haven't done a damn thing with. So the fact that, and I didn't even ask Buck to write it. I'll go even more behind the curtain. I didn't ask Buck to write it. He texted Tuesday night about this Ravens thing. And Wednesday morning, me and Sam were doing the show. We both knew about the Ravens thing through yesterday morning show. And Buck texted me after the show and said, hey, I'm working on the Ravens article. And so if Buck feels like he's going to write the Ravens article without even me having to ask him to do it, that should tell you how confident Buck feels about this. And Jack, I'll go one step further and then I'll move on from this topic. Jack, ask me a question. How much pushback did Buck get after he published the article yesterday? Ask that to me.
How much pushback did Buck get after he posted the article yesterday, Austin?
Zero pushback.
And I think that's important. And I do think that what you just said needed to be said. And it's hard to hear for a lot of Titans fans. I know there's a lot of people in denial still. And look, this report doesn't necessarily mean the Titans are going to trade Henry. And it doesn't mean that they are going to trade Henry to the Ravens. It simply means that the Titans got interest from the Ravens. Now, when trade rumors pop up, these things are all very fluid. Like you mentioned, the Titans had no calls on Monday. These things change quickly. And who knows who leaked this information? Like, it could be the Titans saying, hey guys, the Ravens want him. Anybody else? Anybody else want him? Anybody else want to step up to the plate? Anybody else want to boost their offer? So it could be them trying to get more out of other teams by saying, hey, look, the Ravens, a team that everyone knows needs a running back, is interested. Now teams like maybe the Cowboys, maybe the Bills, there are other mystery teams across the league that could jump into this thing. Maybe they say, sounds like the Titans already have one buyer for Henry. Maybe we got to come a little stronger with our offer. So that's another possibility in this thing as well. But I think that Buck has done more than enough over his career with A to Z and over his career covering the Titans for people to respect his reports. He's not wrong.
Yes. All right. So I'll answer the question now. What was my reaction to Buck's report? So I was surprised, to be honest. That my reaction is surprised that a team actually does have enough interest in Derrick Henry to reach out to the Titans to inquire on how this could happen. Because I said Monday on the show and Tuesday on the show that me and Zach thought, I don't think Derrick Henry has a market outside of Tennessee, because we've all talked about over the last several years that the Tennessee Titans value Derrick Henry and running backs in general more than the other 31 NFL teams combined. Because Derrick Henry is an old school running back. The Titans prefer to have a run first, play action pass type offense. And who else does he fit schematically like that? We know Derrick Henry needs bulk volume carries to get going. Rarely does Derrick Henry average 7 yards a carry on his first 5 touches of the game. Normally he averages 7 to 8 yards a carry in the fourth quarter when the Titans are bowling people over because they've gotten a lead. And that's where Derrick Henry has his big plays. So, like, what other team is going to commit to something like that for a half-season rental on an expiring contract with a very talented, good player, but somebody that's typically square peg, round hole in NFL offenses? So I was very surprised and caught off guard that the Baltimore Ravens were showing this type of interest when I got that Tuesday night / Wednesday morning.
I hear you. I wasn't as surprised, right? Because when Byard left, I knew that the Titans were fully shopping everyone. It could be a fire sale over there for all we know. And, when you talk about Derrick Henry and the teams that might be interested in him, the Baltimore Ravens are obviously at the top of the list. They lost J.K. Dobbins. They don't really have a running back that they can trust for 3 downs. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, those guys aren't going to get it done throughout the season and even into the playoffs if the Ravens make it that far. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that the Ravens are interested in him. However, it is a gut punch. I would be lying if I said it wasn't, right? Because it doesn't feel real until he's actually gone. And the fact that we are here talking about a potential team, and I would imagine that the Ravens are, if not one, definitely two on the list of teams the Titans do not want him to be traded to. The other team would probably just be the Colts. Like, they don't need him, obviously.
But here's the thing, though, Jack, is the Titans have already played the Ravens this year.
I get it. I'm just saying.
Derrick Henry's on an expiring contract. The Titans are playing the AFC North this year. The Ravens are not going to finish in third or fourth place. So I doubt the Titans are going to have the Ravens on the schedule next season. And who knows where Derrick Henry's going to be next season, whether the Titans move him or not.
Yeah, I get that part. I'm just saying, like, Titans-Ravens rivalry, there's a lot to it. I mean,
sure,
these two teams stomp on each other's logos and start fights before and after the game, right? Like, there's a lot of hatred here. And to see Derrick Henry wear that uniform would feel like a gut punch to me. And I'm sure a lot of people in the chat would agree with that. However, like I said earlier, if he's not going to be back here, you want to get value out of him while you still can. It really pains me to see that the Ravens are going to make a push for him.
All right. So I want to hear from Derrick Henry, who was asked about once the day after Kevin Byard was traded. Derrick Henry was asked about players that also are on the block and he himself on the block too, and also get to some more of your comments. But before we hear from Derrick Henry himself, let me tell you guys about Krebs Kubota. El Tractorcito. If Derrick Henry gets traded from the Titans, you can go get your new Tractorcito at Krebs Kubota. They are an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations in Middle Tennessee, Columbia, Franklin, and in Murfreesboro. An elite Kubota dealer means they have the best equipment in the industry, and that's an absolute fact because nobody has equipment like Kubota, and nobody has equipment warranties like Kubota as well. And nobody has customer service like Krebs. They've been doing it for over 18 years, and they have 3 locations. They started with Columbia. Then they were so good at what they do, they were able to expand to Franklin and Murfreesboro over the last several years because of how good Krebs and that family treats their people. So customer service is important. Having a relationship with your equipment provider is an utmost importance. So go find the equipment for you. Holiday season's approaching. Maybe that somebody needs a new trimmer, needs a new mower. I know I could use a new trimmer. Wink, wink, nod, nod to anybody watching as the Christmas list approach. But Krebs Kubota, a great place for that. Online, KrebsKubota.com.
BetMGM.com. It's the king of sportsbooks. Their variety, their selection is unbeatable. It's easy to navigate for new users. So if you are a new user, if you want to sign up, if you want to get some skin in the game before the NFL season really gets into the nitty-gritty part of the schedule, BetMGM is a place to do it. And we've got a promo code to help you out so you can make money early on in your betting tenure. Sign up with our code A to Z Sports. That's ATOZ Sports, and you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. BetMGM's got your back even if you miss that first bet. A to Z Sports gets you $1,500 up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Guys, nobody else is offering a promotion deal like this. Sign up with BetMGM and get some skin in the game starting soon.
All right, so let's hear from from Derrick Henry. I was reading a comment about Mike Vrabel, but once again, Buck Rising's report from Wednesday on AtoZSports.com. The Baltimore Ravens are the team most interested in acquiring Henry as of Wednesday, but any potential deal could fall through if compensation is not right. Now let's hear from the Titans superstar running back on Tuesday after the Kevin Byard trade occurred.
You know this is a business, and you know this stuff happens, but when you see a guy like KB go, does it get any less shocking to you?
I mean, somebody you've been teammates with since you came in the league, I mean, it's always going to be shocking. But at the end of the day, when we know it's a business, I mean, I just wish the best for him if anything. But at the end of the day, we still got a job to do, still got to come in, focus, and do what you need to do to help win games.
Does it lead some other guys, even yourself, Derrick, wondering, like, if Kevin can be traded, is it possible that other guys might get moved before the deadline as well?
Yeah, man, until I'm told different, focus on winning and beating the Falcons. And that's just my main focus until I'm told something different.
Where you can win a Super Bowl?
Have I said anything like that?
No. So would you not want to go somewhere to win a Super Bowl?
I'm here. I'm here at work. ready to go practice, and focus on beating the Falcons. Anything else, I can't worry about.
So Derrick Henry did not like the last line of questioning. I believe that was Jared Stillman asking, would you not want to go somewhere to win a Super Bowl? Which I don't think is a unfair question. I think it's a weird spot to ask it, but hey, when else are you going to have a chance to ask Derrick Henry that question after Kevin Byard was traded? But I also want to say this, because Terry McCormick reported on Tuesday that Kevin Byard didn't ask for a trade. You know, that's Terry McCormick reporting this per a source with knowledge that Kevin Byard did not want to leave the Titans this week. He wanted to play after the London game. He didn't even want to go on a bye week. He wanted to get back to work. And so I don't think Derrick Henry wants to be traded, but It ain't up to him, right? Like, this is not how it works. And I think for Derrick Henry, if I were Henry, who knows what's being discussed about him, right? Like, he's not that active on social, but it's a weird feeling today. And Derrick Henry typically talks to the Titans media on Thursday, which is today, yet the Titans had him talk on Tuesday following the Kevin Byard trade. So I don't know if we're going to hear from Derrick Henry until after the Falcons game, if he doesn't get traded before then.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that sounded like, it was obvious Derrick Henry was upset about the conversation surrounding him being traded, right? I mean, he has no control over this. If Kevin Byard doesn't have a say, then who's going to, right? I mean, Derrick Henry has been everything to this organization, but the business side of it constantly reminds you year in and year out, trade deadline to trade deadline, the offseason, everything like that. It reminds you that it's still a business at the end of the day. And this Titans team, while Derrick Henry has been super valuable to them over the course of his career, it appears that they're ready to head in a different direction. And if you do head into a different direction, you need to have draft picks. You need to maximize your value with some of the assets you still have while you have them. They're not going to have Derrick Henry after this season, most likely, right? Unless something unforeseeable happens. So I understand why we're having these conversations, why Derrick Henry's name is on the block. And it's not just his either. We're still talking about Danico Autry, Tierra Tart, Traylon Burks was mentioned earlier in the show, even though I believe that that's unlikely. But it's not up to anybody. It's up to Rand Carthon. And Amy Adams-Strunk. And if Amy Adams-Strunk signs off on something like this, which obviously was important last year and why John Robinson was, eventually terminated, was because it wasn't really cleared with Amy Adams-Strunk, then, there's nothing anybody can do. Derrick Henry's hands are tied in this matter, but it is nice to see that he still wants to be in Tennessee, even though he didn't say it. He said it without saying it. His body language, his tone.
I'm here. Yeah.
Eye contact.
Yeah.
So everyone knows Derrick Henry doesn't want to leave here. He's a king here. He will always be the king here. But it's just a weird part in time where the Titans, have a few days, have until Tuesday of next week to make a move if they're going to make a move. So it's wait and see. And the Buck report obviously, tells me enough that this seems like it's real. So it's just kind of hard to digest. And I'm rambling and running on with my sentences because I don't really know how to cope with Derrick Henry trade talks.
Yeah. So Drayden is, again, you guys don't know everything and claim you do. Fake news reporters. Ha ha ha. Thanks. But I do think this from Buck is warranted in that Derrick Henry is receiving the most interest from the Baltimore Ravens. But let's get to this because I think compensation is important with Buck's report too. And Buck adds the context that if the Titans are serious about moving Derrick Henry, they will likely have to buy a better draft pick. And what that could look like is the Titans will have to eat several $1 million of Derrick Henry's remaining $6.5 to $7 million on this current season deal. That's a lot of money for the Ravens, who only have $6.7 million in cap space, or any other team that would want to add Derrick Henry. And so, like the Titans did with Kevin Byard, they are paying a lot of Kevin Byard's money this season that allowed the Eagles to make that move. And the Titans got a player on an expiring contract plus a 5th and 6th round pick. Jack, let's go ahead and ask this question. What does the trade compensation have to be to make you feel comfortable moving Derrick Henry? What does the trade compensation have to be to make you feel comfortable moving Derrick Henry. Ravens are not. This is not, so the team, but it's more of like what the Titans have to get back to make you feel better about it. So we'll get to your answers here in a second. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans. They can make it better for you when it comes to your health coverage, dental and vision. FBHP.com/ATOZ. That is their website to get started. A health assessment is the easy way to go with Farm Bureau Health Plans. It's super easy to get started. 20 or 30 minutes right there for a health assessment to help you save money and get better coverage. Zach Bingham signed up with Farm Bureau Health Plans 2 full years ago, saved 20% per month on his coverage rates, but got better coverage. And now he has the ability to go to the dentist multiple times a year on his plan where he wasn't previously. He has the right vision coverage for his contact situation for his vision. So it can help you out whatever stage of life you're in. Farm Bureau Health Plans does a great job at helping it and making it work for you. And it started today at FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Start getting some skin in the game with BetMGM. If you're a new user, if you're having bad luck on your old sportsbook, you don't like it, it's too tough to navigate, the live betting's not up to date all the time, go to BetMGM. They don't have any of those issues over at BetMGM. That's why they're called the king of sportsbooks. We've got a promo going on right now. If you sign up with our code A to Z Sports, you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. They want you to make some money early on. They want to give you some money. Take it. Take this free money. Take this great offer and use our code A to Z Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, so Jack, I'll send you right to the chat. What does the trade compensation need to be for the Titans to make you feel comfortable moving Derrick Henry? I'm very curious to see what the answers are. So what are people saying about this?
Let me just scroll to the top here. Give me a second because a lot of answers are coming in very quickly. I'm going to scroll, and if I can't get to the top, we're just going to start it here. Ross Biggie says no lower than a third. Chris Bynes says fourth and a fifth. Honestly, you can maybe squeeze out a third. Continuing to go. Mike Sanders says 2 third-rounders and 1 4th-round pick. That's a lot of picks for Derrick Henry.
That's not going to happen.
I think a lot of people would be pretty happy. Jared Moore says a 3rd-round pick and a side of mashed potatoes. Let's see. A 4th-round pick for an average player, maybe a little bit above average from Brandon. Kenneth says 3rd and a player. Big B says 3rd. Continuing to scroll, Matt Stotler says 3rd and a player. He names Devin Duvernay as a part of the deal. Eric Davis also mentions Duvernay, but he says plus a 4th. John Vargas says a 5th, 7th, and 8th round pick. Who's going to tell John that the draft's only 7 rounds? Jody Newell says a good receiver and a 5th round pick. Continuing to go, they need a late 1st, early 2nd from Gary Rodriguez. That's going to be tough to get for Derrick Henry. Again, he's a rental player. He's got 11 games left on his contract. I don't know if anybody's going to be willing to give up a 1st or a 2nd for Derrick Henry. Brian says 3rd round pick and Lamar. Wouldn't that be nice? Adam Hennessy says 3rd, but a 4th is realistic. Titan Fox says 3rd. Darren Lee says 4th. Since we're having to eat a lot of money, I'd say 4th. Says Caleb. Rooney says 2 picks under the 5th round, so 2 day 2 picks at least. Darren Dennis says a 2nd in 2024, a 3rd in 2025, and I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's too high. Derrick Henry is not going to get a 2nd rounder. And Jack, I know you and Sam last week discussed, I think this was Bleacher Report, right? Bleacher Report had these 4 trade proposals for Derrick Henry, all which were getting 2nd round picks in 2024. Some of them getting players that have names like Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay is an expiring contract too. So if the Titans are going to get a player back, that could make sense because the Titans don't want to acquire a contract that goes into beyond this season. But there's no way the Titans are going to get a Devin Duvernay, a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick this year for Derrick Henry. When you look at what the trade prices have been so far this season, because I tweeted this on Monday and I said it on Tuesday morning show, Jack, and I'm sure you saw it and know that Kevin Byard's only the 2nd of 7 players to be traded so far this season that got traded for an upcoming 2024 draft pick. Randy Gregory was a 7th round 2024 draft pick. Kevin Byard is way better than Randy Gregory, got a player and 2 2024 draft picks, but they were day 3 picks. So is Derrick Henry worth a 2024 draft pick? It has to be a 2024 draft pick, and the Titans are going to move him. So my answer on this, Jack, is I think nothing less than a fourth. That the Titans have to get at least a fourth-round pick from Derrick Henry. And even then, that doesn't feel like a ton. The Titans are fine to eat the rest of his contract. And if they are up to doing that for cap situations, then maybe you can get it up to a 3 or a fourth this year and a fifth or something for 2025. Do you get a player back? I mean, the Titans only have Tajay Spears and is that it on the raw? Like I know Jonathan Ward is on the practice squad, but that's all I know. And they don't have a lot of running backs. So maybe you need some type of running back in exchange, and the Ravens have running back by committee. So,
yeah, they're all the same player too. So, and those are kind of like guys you just rotate in when the bell cow needs a breather. For me, I think I agree with you. I think if you get a third, that would be sweet. I think that would be okay. I would be sad about trading Derrick Henry, but a third round pick will help ease some of that pain. I think the most realistic is probably fourth in a player, and I have a player listed that nobody's mentioned yet. That is linebacker Patrick Queen. The Baltimore Ravens declined picking up his fifth-year option, and they actually drafted a guy that a lot of people expect to replace him next season, and that's Trenton Sampson, who they took in the third round. Patrick Queen
and Roquan Smith is with the Ravens too, right?
Yes. Patrick Queen has 2 years of 100-plus tackles. He's got 3.5 sacks already this year. He had 5 sacks last year. He comes in. He's probably an upgrade over Jack Gibbons. He'd be a nice pair with Azeez there in the middle of the Titans defense. And look, he's kind of in a situation with the Ravens that's a little bit like Derrick Henry. He's like, right? They know he's not going to be there next year. So if they're able to package him in a deal with a fourth-round pick instead of having to give up a third for Derrick Henry, I wonder if they think about that. So Patrick Queen and a fourth-round draft pick would be a decent haul for Derrick Henry if you can get it.
And so Bonafide Bro, whose YouTube is section 240, says Queen will be available next year when the Titans have money. But it could be a similar situation. And don't hate on what I'm about to say for this because it didn't work out, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea. It could be similar to what the Titans did with Zach Cunningham, right? You brought him in at the end of his contract season, you play him out, see if he's worth anything, and then you have the first opportunity to re-sign him once the season's over. So I think Patrick Queen could be a similar opportunity. Same thing with Devin Duvernay, if that's the situation. The same thing the Titans have with Terrell Edmonds, with who they just acquired in the Kevin Byard trade. And I didn't think Bonafide Bro said, hell, one of the picks the Titans got for Byard was their own pick they traded previously to the Eagles. So it's like, they just, hey, you want this back? Sure, thanks. Because it's going to be a lot better than the Eagles' 6th-round draft pick. So, I think that's interesting there too.
And getting a guy like Patrick Queen, I think, is worth it. You can stick him in the middle of the defense. You've got 11 games to get him acclimated to the system. If you like what you see, bring him back next year. He'll hit the ground running this offseason. If you don't like what you see, oh well, you gave it a shot. You went out and got a former first-round draft pick as a part of a Derrick Henry trade. You've got so much money to spend next season. I refuse to believe that they'll have Jack Gibbons starting in the middle of the defense next year anyways. So Patrick Queen's a good guy to start this thing off with. I understand you can get him in free agency, but don't you want to get a look at him, a little peek under the hood, just to make sure you know what you're getting if you do want to go down that road next year so you don't miss in free agency? I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay a free agency price if you don't want to. You can sign him and extend him beforehand. And the distinguished gentleman says a queen for a king is an interesting poetic there. Yeah, very poetic, unfortunately. Real quick, some more super chats to get to from you guys, and then we'll talk about the timing of this because the timing of this is very, very important. Real quick, though, don't forget, these things are going fast, I feel like, but 40% off all of our gear at shop.atozsportsnashville.com. Our gear is moving. We're in transition with this. And so you can get 40% off all of our gear at shop.a2zsportsnashville.com. I just posted the link right there in the chat. And hey, if you've got kids, we've got a lot of extra small sizes available. So maybe a great little gift on 40% off for the kids there too. So 40% off everything at shop.a2zsportsnashville.com. Now back to my super chats I was going to get to. Andre said, Titans only have two options with Henry: extend a year to help the young quarterback or trade for a 2 or 3, but please, Lord, not the Ravens. The McNair trade scared him. Jack, do you remember what the Titans got back from Baltimore in the McNair trade?
Was it anything?
Fourth round pick.
Okay, a 4th-round pick. And McNair was, over the hill a little bit as well. He had a couple of decent seasons with the Ravens, but he was on the back end of his prime also.
Yep.
So, and McNair was a lot like Henry in that they had been beaten to absolute hell throughout their career in Tennessee, right? Even though Derrick Henry's injury history doesn't show that, I think everyone around the league knows that he's been overworked at times here in Tennessee.
Yeah, for sure. Connor has 2 super chats. I love Henry. He's my favorite Titan, but I'm okay with trading him. I was 4 when the Titans last went to the Super Bowl. I would like to see them win one. And then Connor says a 4th for Henry would be most realistic. Fans would be upset that it's not a 1st or 2nd, but they fail to see that the picks give Rand room to play the board. I think that's a really good comment there from Connor on that super chat too. It's trade value is very different than what everybody expects. And I don't think anybody values Derrick Henry the way the Titans do. I think we know that. And so it would be fascinating to see what Derrick Henry would be like on that Baltimore Ravens offense and how they would use him. And if Derrick Henry would have to change the offense a little bit for Lamar Jackson. And, the Ravens are 5-2. They're gunning for it in a division that seems very much theirs for the taking, with the Browns' dramatic quarterback situation, the Bengals trying to get right, but in a hole, and then the Steelers that are just historically just better than 500.
Yeah, and I understand why a 4th doesn't excite a lot of Titans fans for Derrick Henry, but you have to think like it's you might not draft a player with that 4th, right? You could package it with a 3rd to move up earlier in the draft. You can do so many things by just having draft capital. So while the 5th and the 6th they got for Kevin Byard isn't attractive, you can put that as part of a package to go up and get a safety in the 2nd round, get a receiver in the 2nd round, get a left tackle somewhere in the draft. So you can use these things, and I understand they're not a 4th, 5th, and 6th. They don't jump off the page to anybody, but they're part of a bigger package where you can go up and actually get a player with a value instead of rolling the dice on a 4th, 5th, or 6th rounder. They give you a lot of flexibility.
For sure. A to Z Sports here live on this Thursday. By the way, like the show before you leave here. Hit that thumbs up button. We have a ton of people watching today and not enough people that have actually liked the show. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button. If you're on YouTube, you might have to hide the live chat, then hit the thumbs up button, then come back and bring the chat back for you there too. But the timing of this is ironic, Jack. And so I want to dive into what the timing is with this potential Derrick Henry trade because of this. And so we'll get to the ironic timing of it all, but do want to tell everybody about Aura, who's keeping my information safe online, and they can do the same thing for you. Aura identified 30 data brokers who are selling my information to spammers and robocallers and telemarketers, and they stripped my information away from those data brokers in just about 5 or 6 days. And our sponsor, Aura, can do the same thing for you. And you can get a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ. That's our link, aura.com/ATOZ for that 2-week free trial. And our sponsor, Aura, has plenty of different features as well as password management and protection. So if a password gets leaked, they let you know, you quickly go change it, and you're safer because Aura's got that looking out for you to have your back. Credit identity theft monitoring. If you've got kids, parental controls on the home Wi-Fi is a big deal that Aura can help you out with. All of it, a 2-week free trial with our link only, aura.com/ATOZ.
Like Aura, BetMGM also has a lot of amazing features, most of them user-friendly, like player props, boosted odds specials, a great live betting selection, a variety that's unbeatable when it comes to sports books across the world. BetMGM, they're the king of sports books. They're offering a promo code ATOZ Sports, gets you up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet misses. If you win your first bet on BetMGM, great, you're in the green. You're already making some money. If you lose it, don't worry. You get a mulligan, up to $1,500 worth of a mulligan by using our promo code A to Z Sports. So if you're looking for a new sports book, if you're looking to just get some skin in the game and start your betting tenure, sign up with BetMGM and use our code ATOZ Sports.
All right, so Jack, we've talked a lot so far today about the compensation. We both think a 4th-round pick is probably the most realistic compensation the Titans can get. But the timing on this is really weird because Derrick Henry last time we saw him was in London, right? And the Titans lost that game. He had a big 60-plus yard run, but the Titans lost, and we haven't seen him since on the field. The Titans are wearing their throwback Houston Oilers jerseys. The Titans are also set to have over 170 former player alumni at the game on Sunday. Over 170 former players. I heard Coach Mack say that this morning on 104.5 The Zone. And so the Throwbacks Alumni Weekend against Arthur Smith and the Falcons, a lot of former coaches and players on that roster and staff. And then you have this caveat of if Derrick Henry gets hurt against the Falcons, you can't trade him. Everybody who's calling for Ryan Tannehill to be traded doesn't recognize that players who are injured cannot be traded. That is in the collective bargaining agreement, that you cannot gain compensation by trading a player currently injured. And so if you throw out Derrick Henry in a game that you have to win, Mike Vrabel saying, which you can believe him or not believe him, that the record of 2-4 did not make the decision to trade Kevin Byard easier or the reason. But if you beat the Falcons, who are beatable, to get to 3-4, you're still alive. But if Derrick Henry gets hurt and he can't pass a physical or you can't trade him by Tuesday, then you're with Derrick Henry, which is not a bad thing, but you're not going to get anything for Derrick Henry when he walks and you allow him to walk at the end of the season. And what if you lose and you're 2-5 and Derrick Henry gets hurt and you can't move him? What if you don't play him in fear of him getting hurt in front of 170 plus former player alumni? That's a weird spot, right?
No, you have to play him. You're like you said, you're a win away from really getting back in this thing. And I understand that Tannehill's not there, and there's a lot of skepticism, even if he's in there. But if you're 3-4 in the NFL, you are still alive. So you absolutely play Derrick Henry. I understand that you're shopping him, but you do not hold him out in hopes that a trade comes through. What if you don't get the value you're looking for? Then you just wasted a game. You threw a game away against a winnable team. So they're not going to do that. He's going to play. And man, if you trade him before I get to see Derrick Henry and the Oilers throwbacks, I'll be even more enraged. But you do have to play him. There's no point in being too careful here. There's still games to win. There's still a season going on. So if Derrick Henry is on the team come Sunday, you absolutely play him.
Yeah. And I like, it's a strange timing situation. Trey says they don't have to sit him, but limit his snaps. He's done very little impact on this offense. He's had one long run, a bunch of 1 and 2 yard gains at best. I mean, he had the game against the Bengals where he was an absolute dominant freak. He was good against the Chargers. He was solid against the Ravens. But yeah, overall, like, it's been a weird offensive season. Now, Kane comes in with a super chat and says, I spend over $5,000 a year traveling to see this team. After the king leaves, who's the face of the organization? Why invest in something that won't have any value for the next 3 to 5 years? Just saying. Look, you're not wrong. That's also the battle that Amy Adams Strunk has to weigh. Like, she's got to think about that too, Jack. Like, you're an invested fan too. Everybody who's watching our show is an invested fan to this franchise, and it's difficult to see a team do something like this for what is just a 4th round pick, but also understand, like, I get it, Kane.
Mm-hmm. I totally get it. And I absolutely get where he's coming from. They've got to put butts in seats one way or another. right? Like you've got to get people in those seats. Having Derrick Henry on your team really helps getting butts in seats and sells tickets. But the 3 to 5 years thing, I don't think it's going to take that long, right? They have so much money to spend this offseason, over $100 million. They're gaining draft capital as we speak, it seems. So this turnaround, while you will have to probably get a young quarterback and figure out if they're going to be able to turn the franchise around and become the face of the franchise, maybe it's Will Levis, maybe it's a guy in this year's class. It's not going to be 3 to 5 years, in my opinion. I think it's a quicker turnaround than that. You've got young pieces. You've got a decent little young core. So just finding the right veterans to put around him this offseason and then drafting more guys to build the team around in the draft, I think that this turnaround is much closer to 3 years than it is 5.
Yeah. And Michelle says, why is an extension for Henry not an option? I think it.
Franchise tag comes into play also.
No, franchise, absolutely not. Franchise tag,
so?
you're going to have to pay. No. Franchise tag for running back in 2024 would be like $12 million. There's no point in having Derrick Henry at age 30,
that role,
$12 million.
Yeah.
Right? It's because, and maybe Sam and I can talk about this, because I think a lot of the answer to Kane's question, who's the face of the franchise? You guys better hope Will Levis is good. Like that's the gamble. That Will Levis better be good. If he's not, then yeah, Kane's pissed and everybody else is pissed too. But
then you draft one.
Yes. And why is an extension not an option for Henry? I mean, Sam and I can expand on that, but it's because you're in this limbo in the middle of a portal where you're trying to like pull yourself through to the modern NFL, but Derrick Henry being really good is kind of keeping you stuck in the portal there. And it's weird, no doubt about it. Andre says another example of why these trades shouldn't have been made in the should have been made in the offseason instead of lying to yourself and fans about competing with this roster low value. Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020 though.
But like the Titans are not a good football team, but they're really not that far away from being 3-3.
I mean, they're a quarter away. They're a bad quarter of football away from really being competitive this season, right? Like if you beat the Saints in week 1, that changes a lot of things. If you somehow pull it out against the Colts with multiple chances there to do so, then we're talking about potentially buying at this trade deadline. Like we're that close.
Honestly, if they beat the Ravens in London, we're not. Kevin Byard's at practice today in Nashville. I feel that way.
I'm totally with you there. I think because this division, even though the Jags are off to a nice start, is still gettable. I mean, the wild card picture is not all that intimidating with some of the really good teams in the AFC having slow starts. There's still, a couple different avenues in cracking the postseason. If you were 3-3 right now, 4-2, you're really pretty close to being 4-2 as well. But the reality is you're 2-4, and you've got to make some business decisions here coming up.
Yeah. And look, Ryan Tannehill's injury is a big deal in this too, right? If Ryan Tannehill was healthy, then maybe it's different. Look, it's a weird spot. All right. One more super chat real quick. Gary says, if they trade Henry, they don't sell tickets, see what he can do with Levis and keep him the rest of the year, period. A third or fourth don't help. On Monday, I agreed with Gary by saying, I think it's important to keep Derrick Henry around and DeAndre Hopkins around to make sure that Will Levis has the best opportunity possible to have a successful start to his NFL career. But, we'll see how it goes.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that Will Levis turns into a guy that I don't think anybody's really expecting him to be. But, he's got tools that you can maybe make a case for. And here's the part that's going to be really frustrating next week is if Will Levis does get the start, no matter how he plays, he's either going to be future Hall of Famer, savior of the franchise, or a total bust when it's unfair to judge a rookie quarterback making a start in the middle of the season when nobody believed he would be ready to do so by now. The armchair quarterback, the reactionary takes, I'm sadly expecting them come Monday, no matter how this thing goes on Sunday.
All right, Jack, real quick, let's remind everybody, because it's been a while, but we will be at Acme on Sunday morning. It's been almost a full month, but Jack and I will be there for our pregame, halftime, and postgame show. I'm going to say this. I think it goes without being said, but you have to mentally prepare yourself that this could be Derrick Henry's last game as a Titan in an Oilers jersey, but we'll be live at the rooftop at Acme Feed and Seed on Broadway. Shout out to Spirited Hive and Ranch Water, who have great specials during all the home games this season. So come down there and see Jack and I if you want to, if you're going to the game, if you're not going to the game. Acme is a badass place to watch a Titans game. I think Jack and I can approve of that. Hell, the Titans are 2-0 when we're down there on the rooftop at Acme. So we'll be there on Sunday. Come see us if you want. Now it's time for the Magic Bucket. And a shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process by seeing them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Trey says, what time are you guys starting at Acme? We will go live 30 minutes to kickoff for our pregame show, but we'll probably be down there around 10. So we'll have about an hour and a half to hang out, set up, take in the sights in the weather. So we'll be down there.
Gonna try and get some former Titans up in the building before the game because a lot of them will be in town.
You are?
Get anybody up there? Yeah. I've got a couple guys I'm gonna text that have come on the podcast.
Okay, all right. I like that.
See if they want to bring some friends, have some fun up at Acme before the game.
Jack the recruiter. All right, I like it. All right, Jack. I'm gonna have you go first for the Magic Bucket.
Wonderful. Let's do it.
Okay. Hey, Pistol Ramsey said I might slide through Austin and Jack. Sounds great. Come on up there if you're down there.
Pull up.
I think you have done this. You have said the alphabet as fast as you possibly can, right? Yes. Okay.
I think it was 2 seconds, by the way.
You were very fast. You were very good. I sucked. All right. I don't think you've done this. You have to tell us about a recent dream you've had, Jack.
Oh man. I get these really vivid dreams.
This is always hard on the spot.
Yeah, no, I had one recently. I'm trying to remember.
I'll go ahead and start pulling while you
I
think and pull it together. Because I remember when I had this, I had a dream that me and Jack had to put out a fire, we had a problem with the business, and we attacked it like we were Starsky and Hutch. That was my recent dream that I shared.
Yeah, so I've had a few. I may have to go back to one that I had a few weeks ago instead of this one that I definitely had 2 days ago. Man, it was so vivid. Now I'm forgetting. Okay, so the one I had a few weeks ago. Jay Cutler is my favorite player in NFL history. He went to Vanderbilt. He was, my first favorite player, and so he stuck with me for a long time. I understand that he's not the most likable. That doesn't matter. He was great. He was great for me. Great for Jack. So I was in my dream. I was at a pool, and it was, towards the end of pool season. There's kind of some shade, and Jay Cutler shows up at the other end of the pool, and I'm with my friends at one side, and we just have a catch. Me and Jay Cutler are just slinging the football around from one side of the pool to the other. No one else matters. It's just me and Jay throwing the football. That was one dream I had recently, and I woke up from it. And I'm like, man, I am sick. I am sicko.
That's so funny. That is like the meme of like the guy and the girl like in the bed, and the girl's like, I wonder what he's dreaming about, and he's like having a catch with Jay. Like, that's exactly what that is. Oh man. Justin says, I had a dream my A to Z merch had come in finally. Look, I think we've overwhelmed them. I think because I also ordered some things for some of our out of country employees. But it hasn't come for me either. I think that there have been a ton of orders that we have overwhelmed our shipping department. So hopefully those will happen somewhat soon. I had a couple things, a couple ones that I had already done, like how to tie a tie and then say something into the camera like that I've already done. But say one thing that I wish I could do as a talent. I did this one several years ago, and so I'll do it again. I can't sing at all. I am tone deaf. I have no idea how to sing. never been taught how to sing, but I wish I could sing. But I can't. Like, not like sing good, not like be a great singer. I wish I could just sing well enough to not sound like a complete fool. Like, I just can't do it.
I bet you could do it. I bet you could maybe even sing a couple notes right now.
No,
No, that's not happening.
no, I can't sing. Like, I can imitate some things, but I can't sing. Like, so I know it takes practice, but there is a talent to singing, but I can't do it. Like, I don't have I have a natural ability to suck at singing.
I think I would rather be really good at playing guitar than really good at singing. Right? Because you can just kind of play guitar in your room when you're bored or something, or maybe around friends. Everyone thinks you're like the coolest guy ever. But you can't just like be singing in your room. People will be like, what in the hell is he doing in there?
But you also
making all sorts of ruckus.
But you also don't want to be that person that like belts it and like to be too good. I was like, damn, chill out. Like, come on.
So you're thinking like a Zach Bryan level of singing.
I don't even know. Like, I have no idea what Zach Bryan sings. I don't listen to music. So I know that might sound crazy, but
as weird as it is, I also don't listen to enough music. So
I just want to be able to like sing enough to where like, if somebody catches me on a phone video and I'm singing, I don't sound like an idiot. That's what I want.
Yeah, you're taking it back. Like, wow, Austin Stanley's got some pipes. Okay.
I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. Like, that's all I want. I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. Like, John Robinson sang Tennessee Whiskey on Instagram. You remember that?
Was good. That was really good.
Ooh, damn, J-Rob's got some pipes. That's all. It wasn't like great, but I was like, I want that. That's all I want. Just a little bit of singing. Just for like, okay, that ain't bad. Nice. Look. Okay, I didn't know that about you. That's all I want.
That's the thing about singing, though. There's really no middle ground or gray area. You're either good or you're horrible.
No, there is a lot of gray area.
You think so?
Because there are people, there are so many famous singers that can't sing. And then so many people that can absolutely belt it that don't get the credit that they deserve.
Yeah, I guess auto-tune is for the gray area. They've kind of...
And catchy lyrics.
They kind of figured that one out. Yeah.
If you've got catchy lyrics, then you can get by and make a lot of money. But that's about it. And marketing, like Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan didn't sing. He just talks and shakes his tiny jeans.
Trace in the chat. Trace is actually a talented musician from what I've seen on social media.
Oh, yeah?
He says nothing to it but to do it, Austin.
Hey, look, I don't deny that. I don't have the time to do that. Let's see. Kick of the King says, my birthday today, 30 years old. My wish, Jack is less of a homer of a Titans fan. Be more realistic. Joshua Mickle.
I think I've been pretty realistic today. And while I do love the Titans, I can kind of take those glasses off and still walk a fine line. You know, I mean, I've seen them when they're really good. I've seen them when they're really terrible. I've kind of, you know, at 27 years old, I've seen a lot. I've seen just about all of them. So, I try and do my best not to be a homer when talking about them. But when you talk about Derrick Henry getting traded, like, that sucks. Like, whether you're a fan or not, if you've been covering this team, that blows, and there's no way around it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, more on this. Sam Phelan will have Titans at 2 this afternoon because it is a Thursday. So Titans at 2 with Sam. He'll be at the Titans facility for Thursday's practice. We'll find out if he will be able to get some extra insight on what's going on. And then once again, Jack and I will be at Acme on Sunday morning for pregame, halftime, and postgame show. We'll get there around 10 for the noon kickoff. Pregame show will start at 11:30. So if you're going to the game or not going to the game, you can come see us at Acme before or after. Shout out Spirited Hive and Ranch Water for all of their great help with that on game day. Jack, I know you got something.
Yes, Tighten Up Podcast out now with Zach Lyons of F Words Podcast. We talked about the Byard trade. We talked about what Titans the team may move here soon as well. We even talked about a potential Vrabel trade. Really interesting conversation on this week's Tighten Up Podcast, including the 2 quarterback thing that Mike Vrabel was talking about earlier in the week. Go check it out. It's a really fun episode. I encourage you all to listen.
All right. Like the show before you leave as well. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Friday. Sam at 2, Buck at primetime at 8. See you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate it as always.